We are speaking with the Democrats, and some very good things could happen with respect to health care. I will say this, just hang in there, because I think a lot of good things are going to happen. That's all I can say. I mean, I think a lot of good things could happen, and that could also pertain to health care.
President Trump signaling a willingness to negotiate with Democrats as the shutdown extends now today into a 7th day. President Trump says this on Truth Social: "I am happy to work with the Democrats on their failed health care policies or anything else, but first they must allow our government to reopen." Now, the House-passed government funding bill failed in the Senate again last night by a vote of 52 to 42. Senate Majority Leader John Thune is expected to force another vote on government funding today. We'll be watching that, of course. House Speaker Mike Johnson, meanwhile, is rejecting House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries' call for a televised debate. They want a show on this, arguing that the time to do that was when the House considered its 7-week CR last month. Speaker Johnson will address the media once again today. Joining me now is Washington Congressman Michael Baumgartner. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. What can you tell us in terms of the latest on this shutdown?
Well, the Democrats have moved into full tantrum phase, and, the theatrics continue. This shutdown is really not about writing a budget right now. What it's about is the Democrats trying to show their base that they can fight hard against President Trump. And eventually, apparently, when they have demonstrated that sufficiently enough, we can get back to trying to run the country. So it is very disappointing what's going on right now. Republicans have done very reasonable, responsible things to govern the country, and we need our Democrat colleagues to join us.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I mean, the fact that Hakeem Jeffries is saying he wants a televised debate, that tells you everything you need to know. He wants a show. I mean, there really isn't a catalyst that's going to get everybody to the table again, right? So what is it going to take to get them to start resuming the business of the people and not having these theatrics?
Well, history has shown that shutting down the government to try to advance policy aims has a very low chance of success. And what the Democrats are doing has zero chance of success. Republicans are very unified. We've done our work in the House. We've passed our budget. It's a Biden-era level spending budget while the fuller budget discussions continue. And Republicans just aren't going to negotiate while the Democrats are taking hostages. So if we want the government to open, which we do because we want our military folks to get paid, we want TSA agents to get paid, we want flood insurance to be offered, we want WIC to be offered, and all that can happen if the Senate Democrats do the right thing and vote for the continuing spending resolution. So, it really is about the Democrats' own internal struggle with their base. They feel like they have weak leadership. Their radical base feels like they haven't fought enough. And when those things happen, we'll get the government back running.
So let me switch gears and get your take from your position on the Foreign Affairs Committee, sir. Today marks 2 years exactly since the October 7th massacre in Israel. Egypt, once again, the place where the indirect peace talks are taking place between Israel and Hamas. If a ceasefire is reached, the remaining 48 hostages are expected to be released in phase 1 of this agreement, 20 of whom are thought to be still alive. Israel would release 250 prisoners serving life sentences. Of course, this is President Trump's 20-point plan. Congressman, do you believe Hamas will really release these hostages and disarm? What is your take on this?
Well, if anybody can do it, it can be President Trump. I'm a former State Department officer, worked extensively in the Middle East, served at Embassy Baghdad, and Donald Trump continues to upend conventional wisdom and move into the possible, what everybody said was not possible in the Middle East. Any deal that gets Hamas out of power and gets the hostage return is a deal worth celebrating. I think President Trump has done the right thing in putting immense pressure on the Arab states to try to get behind this deal, and I applaud him for it. Ultimately, whether it's successful, that's up to Hamas and the Palestinians. There's an old saying that the Palestinians never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity, and they need to take this opportunity for the good of the hostages and for the good of the people in Gaza. They're suffering immensely right now as well. And so I look forward to this. Certainly, the 2-year anniversary of that terrible attack is so heart-wrenching. I was in Israel a couple months ago, was down at the Nova site, visited with survivors survivors that had their friends shot as they lay around them. It was just brutal what Hamas did to women and children and young people in that attack. And it's a great moment to know that if we want peace in the Middle East, it has to start with Hamas and their supporters in Iran being set back. So hopefully Hamas will take this deal, and I applaud President Trump for his efforts.
Absolutely, Congressman. We've all been praying for the families since this happened. Congressman, you're also on the Judiciary Committee. I want to get your take about the former special counsel, Jack Smith, tracking the private communications and calls of 9 GOP senators during his January 6th probe, Congressman. What do you want to say about this?
Well, it's extremely concerning. You know, a lot of times Republicans talk about the deep state and those folks on the left, or perhaps they don't follow politics as closely. They say, well, what are these guys talking about? Well, this is exactly what Republicans are talking about when the apparatus of the state is potentially turned against elected political leaders for political gain. And, you know, it's extremely concerning. It'll be interesting to see what this investigation brings out. And I know that on the House side, Committee Chairman Jim Jordan will do what is needed to be done to get to the bottom of this and find out for the American people. But yeah, obviously it's extremely concerning.
And you also recently returned from a bipartisan House delegation to China. I know that Ro Khanna was there. You met with the premier and senior officials pressing for dialogue on military-to-military communication, trade, nuclear proliferation, and the fentanyl crisis. Congressman, what do you want to say about relations with China as we know that there is evidence that the CCP continues to undermine America?
Well, first off, this was the first trip since 2019 for members of the House. That gap is way too long. Members of the House need to continue to go and visit Taiwan, but we need regular congressional visits to China. There is a real risk of escalation if a security issue takes place. It could spiral very quickly. So we need that regular communication. We need military-to-military communication. You know, we're in a real race with China, but China is strong but brittle. You know, they have an amazing economy with competitive destruction at the bottom end, but they also have a government that's made some real mistakes, a tremendous amount of debt, you know, in a very Orwellian state. So we need to find an accommodation with China. That starts with continuing this dialogue, but we also need to make sure that we're fixing our issues here at home. And first and foremost, looking at our immense debt loads in America is a real national security crisis. So it was great to be the first House Republican to visit China in 6 years. And I hope that the next ones there's many of them and they visit frequently, because it really is an important relationship.
Of course, especially since we have all of these supply chains in China still. The president's
Absolutely.
trying to change that. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you. You do a wonderful job, and it's great to be on your show.
Thank you, sir. Great to see you. We'll have you back soon.